I have been sick all week, like for 5 days. So I haven't done much of anything outside the house. All right, y'all. This is my week 9 recap. I'm driving to my artist date, which I did not bail on, even though it's at the tail end of the week. I've been sick all week, so I don't feel bad about it. So, quick things: morning pages every day. Artist dates. I took a pottery class for my artist date this week. I am not a natural at all, and I had to be comfortable being the novice and not really being good at something. Like, they gave us 3 chances to throw clay, and my first time was actually my best time. That's that beginner's luck. But I listened to the teacher and decided to go deeper in my bowl and touch bottom, so when she took it off, there was a hole. So my first one, while it looked good on the outside, there was no structure. The second one I thought better, but then I ended up botching it and then just having to abstract it, and that's the one I ended up choosing to glaze and pick up later this week. Yeah, so I improvised with the second one. And then the third one, that just ended up being a kid playing in some clay because it was bad. I think it was bad for everybody. I don't know what was happening, if our water was too murky at that point. I was struggling. I've included some footage because I was cute. I was cute though. I got some really beautiful artist moments. And today, I don't know, my body just wanted to move. I just couldn't sit still to do any sedentary activity. So I was like, let's put on some music. And I just grooved around the house, to be honest. Somehow I ended up playing with some kind of like masculine style pole dancing. And then I ended up whacking, like in some whacking practice that I was taking very seriously, which led me to a project that I pushed aside because it was going to require that I learn new skills, new dance styles. And it just happened naturally, just in play. And I think that's the important part of it, is play. Like, sometimes you just gotta flow and be. I honestly can get caught up in what I feel like should be happening instead of doing what I feel. Does that make sense? I don't know if that made any sense. I can get caught up in my to-do list, and sometimes that stops organic flow. I mean, yes, discipline, but keep up with your creative deadlines and whatnot, but I think leaving room for the spontaneity is very important. So, yeah, I'm learning to play. Play. That's the name of the game today. It's the name of the game moving forward. This week asks you to reread your morning pages. And this was perfectly timed for me because I started a new journal a day or 2 ago. So my whole last journal is the beginning part of my Artist Way journey. But this week asks you to reread your morning pages, and that can be hard sometimes because that's where you're most honest, and that's where you begin to notice your patterns, your same modes of bullshit, your the things that you keep saying that you're gonna do that you haven't done. You can see who the hell's been getting on your nerves, who has been in the way of your process. It is a lot. I know who I am. It's really just time to walk it, because since day 1, week 1, first page, have been speaking about, I know that I need to quit smoking because it gets in the way of the things that I need to do for myself. Been known that I want to leave the country. I asked myself, why did I come back in the first place? I began my trading journey at the top of this, and honestly, I don't think I've been doing too great with that. I haven't been too focused on it. Not focused in a way that give you a solid source of income, right? I don't know. I'm going to keep reading. This week asks you to reread your morning pages, and I think that has traumatized me, honestly, because there's no way to run from your bullshit and your patterns. And the way that my neurospice is already set up, the pattern recognition skills go crazy. So rereading my days consecutively that way kind of fucked me up, because it's just very clear. It's very telling what I need to be doing right now. One of the things I kept journaling is like about being sure that I am narrating my own life and I'm scripting my own life and that somebody else doesn't have the pen. And I'm just not really over this I'm over this. This was a hard ass fucking week. Just the realizations from this week are challenging truths to receive. This week talks about creative U-turns, moments where we either fight or flighted ourselves out of things that we actually wanted. Just, times where we completely jump ship on a path or an idea and went a different direction. And I have historically been the queen of the pivot, and as I reflect on those pivots, some were necessary and some were just downright impulsive. I still haven't unpacked completely the way that my last relationship ended and how I flighted all the way to Guam and then Costa Rica. And I really just abandoned everything that I had built, anything that mattered to me, everybody I cared about. And while pivot or transition was needed, I'm sure I could have gone about that in a different way. But I saw a window of opportunity and I hopped through it, period. So I don't regret it, but I have to acknowledge that that decision came with a lot of fallout. So that, and then when I decided to stop dancing, stop teaching, stop performing, all of those things. I told that story in a past video. But yeah, I put myself in the position of a producer. I started directing. I started putting myself behind the scenes, which is fine and dandy because I have skills that support that. But in a way, I was shrinking myself and running from my artist self. It was easier to critique the work of others than to face my own shit and acknowledge that I had turned my back on my favorite craft and my first love, which is dance. And every time I get a glimmer of how amazing dance is for me, I don't know, I feel so many conflicted ways. Like, I have a natural something with me when it comes to dance, but if I was training or if I had never stopped, where would I be? And yeah, it kind of eats at me. And one of the projects that I want to work on that I've been, I'm not going to even say shelving, but it has just been something I've been consistently writing in my morning pages for quite a while now. And I think there's some fear around it because it's a movement-based visual piece, which means I gotta get out of my way when it comes to this movement and dance, period. Then there's my work with the Ho Hive. And honestly, that has been out of my control for a while. And I think I'm just surrendering to the flow instead of trying to force one. Oh yeah, so this week asked about your resentments and your angers, your creative U-turns, and my website and my portfolio. I keep going in a direction and then deciding on a new one. It's almost like I'm afraid to put myself out there or afraid that what I put out isn't going to best represent me. And I have kicked out money in the past for a website that I didn't like. So I just want to make sure that I don't make those same mistakes. But I'm frustrated with myself because my website has been down for over a year at this point, and what am I trying to do here? What am I trying to do? However, life has given me some W's this week. So that film intimacy coordinator position that I applied for and that had got postponed due to the wildfires, that is back up and running, and I signed my deal agreement yesterday. I've been hired for pay for my first intimacy coordinator gig, and I'm really proud of myself for that because the universe is really requiring that I show up as who I say I am these days. So that's why that website bit is kind of hitting, because with this project, it forced me to rewrite my bio. It forced me to my IMDb page together. Yeah, I am working with some, I'll call them big dogs. I'm just going to say I'm the least experienced person in the room. I have a lot to learn from everybody. The creator of the project, she's starring in it and directing it, but she has won a plethora of awards for her past works and has gone through, I believe, the WGA's showrunner boot camp and she's just strides ahead and where I would like to be. And I'm just honored that she chose me as her intimacy coordinator for this project, because the actual story is about an intimacy coordinator. Go figure. So, and I realized when I was rereading the pages that I thought that ethnographer bit was news to me last week. But I had actually written that down in like week 2. That was like my subconscious giving me a hint, like in a section about writing out all your imaginary lives or something, and that was one of my imaginary lives. So it's very interesting leaving yourself breadcrumbs and then finding them later and having aha moments with yourself. Not like the kind of breadcrumbing I'm accustomed to in my intimate relationships. Forced to reconcile with my shit and forgive myself. I have to forgive myself, or I'm not going to be able to move forward with anything with confidence. That is a process. I also have my spirit has made its mind up about where am I going when I leave this country. And with that decision, I decided to begin learning Portuguese on Duolingo. I will let y'all figure out where you guys think I'm going. On that note, the next 4 months, 3 or 4 months, is really going to be critical in laying the foundation that will allow me to sustain on this international journey. Like, I just want to believe in myself with such intensity that I just hop out there and take the risk. And I don't know if I have any astrology girlies watching, but I have a Pisces North Node. So leaning into that is a lot of trusting in the universe. Not leaning so much on the critical, analytical, have to plan every single detail kind of essence that is the Virgo South Node. According to astrology, your South Node is the strengths you came into this lifetime with, which are meaning the things you mastered last lifetime. And your North Node is where you are journeying to this lifetime by way of your rising. So I don't even really know what it means to sit in Piscean energy for real. I just know I have a lot more emotions than the typical Aquarius. And I feel things deeply in our lives when we have reached adulthood, true adulthood, not young adulthood, but you're actually adults. We can't let childhood traumas control us anymore. That's part of the reason I'm even going through this process. Now that I'm uncovering the source of some of these creative blockages, I'm ready to leave it in the past and just move forward. I don't want anything to be able to hold me back. Not anything from my past, not anything or anyone in my present, and certainly not fear of my future. So, yeah, this has been quite the informative week. I'm still pumping away at that music video. Let me tell you, if anybody after this asks me for virtual effects work, oh baby, that price tag is going to be insane. I have taken on 2 virtual effects projects, and I don't know anybody that's doing this work at an indie level right now. It's challenging. It takes a lot of work as the producer and creative director to push these things across the finish line. So this will definitely be my thriving artist era, because Shorty will be getting paid this season. It's time to show and prove. It's time to show and prove. And then my creative partner, Girl Chris, we experienced a hurdle this week. The BS ended up taking an opportunity off of the table for us in the now. But we found an even better opportunity, better suited for the work that we're doing together. And when I say it's like a perfect fit, and this would be a year-long residency that would allow us to buckle down and really lean into the intersection of art and sensual somatics. So there have been some wins this week. It's just been a time. Thank you for checking in for week 9. I will see you next week.